strongest of strong opposition in this coming game. The hands are shake is there, and we see that looked to me like e4. And is that a Sicilian?
Wow, Najdorf! Well, I don't believe that Magnus will be interested in going in for... Wow, no, he does. CD? Okay, let's go. Let's see a sharp Najdorf.
I'm enjoying the start of this game. And Magnus plays Rook G1. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm happy about this, Peter. We are going to
Yeah.
see a G4 push in the near future.
Well, unless Black plays the move h5, which can... I think Anish Giri has played it against Magnus Carlsen. I have been commenting that game from the Champions Chess too, but no, Nihal goes knight c6. That's a surprise. G4 played.
And it's a pawn sacrifice because if you take on d4 first and then take on g4, white doesn't have enough defenders over there, but you're wasting time. You're spending precious time with your pieces, and white will then castle queenside. So it's a pawn sacrifice that is justified.
Yes, for sure. And we also see the evaluation bar jumping in white's favors after g4. Black plays g6. Wasn't it something that Magnus himself played against Jan Nepomniachtchi when Jan was playing rook g1 against Magnus himself?
That does ring a bell, and that means that you've experienced with both colors, and that can be a good thing because you can sort of turn the board around in your head and think about what black's strategies are. But it also could have caused him some discomfort, and then he's like, let me try it from the white side. So bishop e2, to my eyes, is the most natural move for white, but there may be a way for black to get out at some moment with the knight getting to f4, but I don't think tactically it works in this position.
Yeah, bishop e2, very tempting, and Magnus has played it. Targeting that knight on h5, that's an awkward piece. Of course, if black can somehow establish a control of the dark squares with knight f4 and e5, it would be great. But I don't see that really realistically happening. Yeah, black could take everything, then we are getting into territory I'm talking about, and then follow it up with e5, landing the knight on f4, but the black pawn on d6 will be a big weakness.
And the e5 pawn push is great on one hand because you gain access to f4 as you were talking about, but then it leaves the d6 pawn behind. So we see all of the pieces trade on d4. The rook on h8 is under attack, so e5 here it comes. And look at Magnus. If I'm seeing this correctly, he moved his queen, but oh no, he hasn't moved his queen yet, has he? I thought he grabbed his queen, but it looks like it's still on d4. I'm thinking, do you go to e3, d2, or even b4 just to poke at the b7
Yes.
pawn?
Exactly. Queen e3 was the thematic move, but if Magnus has already paused, it was kind of the clear indication. There it is. On the board, confirmed queen b4, knight f4, long castles. Look at that backward d6 pawn, and not only the pawn, white might also be able to transfer that bishop c4, bishop b3, protect everything, making sure that you have access to the d5 square, the pawn on d6 is falling. The opening was a huge success for Magnus.
I'm glad you told me to look at the pawn on d6 because I don't think it's going to be there very long. The rook and the queen are lined up against it. If black castles kingside, white just takes the pawn on d6. King e7 is out of the question. I know it saves your pawn for the moment, but your king is in the center, and all of white's pieces are aiming in that direction. So I would not be brave enough to play a move like that. And if that's the case, extra pawn for white, free hand in the endgame.
Yes, that's why maybe even if black does not, and Nihal gives up basically both pawns, but of course white can only take one. Please take on d6, so please take on b7, but let me coordinate my pieces. And Magnus says, I want none of it.
Well, Peter, I hate to take our attention away from this game, especially as it's heating up. We quickly need to go to board 2, Jan Nepomniachtchi with the black piece against Daniil Dubov, because the result has been relayed as a draw. But if I'm not mistaken, when you pull up this board and show everybody what has happened in this game, this is the actual final position of the game. Look at what happened in this one. Look at the moves that they played.
No, but be careful, because actually there is the certain danger that the arbiter can forfeit you for this. I think it happened in all times, in something like in the 80s, when two friends played like this, they were given 2 zeros.
Keep going. I want to show everybody how this game finished, just move by move. The knights just danced around, and then they went to each other's starting square. So the game ended up being a draw because they agreed to it. And you can, of course, double forfeit the players for not playing, for not trying. But what I don't understand is when people make the Berlin draw, why is that any better by making a forced draw out of the opening? So it's not my ruling to make. I think that I would prefer to see players play. I'm always against the draw offer. I want to see fighting chess. I'm glad we're back to this game on board one between Magnus Carlsen and Nihal Sarin.
Yes, exactly. And we were discussing that which pawn Magnus will take, the d6 pawn or the b7 pawn. All of a sudden, who takes the first pawn? It is black queen takes g5. Did Magnus really blunder this possibility? Now he's very upset. And look at the clock situation. Magnus down to a minute, but Nihal only has 25 seconds.
And when you don't take on d6 when you can, you may regret it. So the queen takes on g5. There are discovered checks against the white king, but bishop takes e6. It unleashes the rook against the queen on g5 as well. So knight d3 is double check, looks very powerful. But I don't think, oh, is this all happening? I don't think it actually wins black material.
Yes, well, there will be also queen takes g1. That's but queen takes g1 doesn't seem good. Yeah, knight takes b4, of course. Yeah, this is correct. Queen takes g1 would have been a blunder since the knight is protecting the rook. All right. What do we see here?
Mass liquidation, and white's pawn structure is better, but black gets very quick activity. White stole the b. Where did the b pawn just go? Why did he sacrifice that?
Yeah, well, he is relying on some activity. Besides, he only has 25 seconds. He does not have a chance to think.
But he's about to lose his a pawn as well. And at this stage, the black knight jumps into d4. The a pawn is gone. Maybe we could just zoom in on the board because it seems like the relay is falling behind the camera. So if we can just look at the players here, black has taken a pawn right in front diagonally from the white king. But if we do a quick count, black only has 4 pawns remaining. White seems to have 5.
Yeah, and Nihal, down to 12 seconds. What do you do?
Oh, he's going passive. I don't love the look of that because he could have taken f2. He realized not but the quantity of material, but the quality of the outside pass pawn. So he has stopped the a pawn in its tracks. But Peter, I'm liking White's position.
Yes, of course. The a pawn is extra. Magnus taking his time. He feels that this is very important moment. Yeah, he goes a4, king f7. Nihal at least makes sure that he controls, he activates the king. He needs to get some activity.
And Magnus, by the way, down under 10 seconds. So he's frozen. He needs to make a move. I would just play h4 or something like that. He gives a check on b7, and he actually grabs the h7 pawn.
Yeah, but now rook b8 is counterplay, knight b5. Okay, that was the trick. But how long you can hold on to this? Yeah, rook e2. There is pressure on the b2 pawn.
Rook h6 goes after g6. So both sides will have their kings in some danger here.
Wow. All the pawns will fall. Rook g takes g6, check. Exactly.
Ooh.
Rook f6, check.
Magnus played it with 1 second left, by the way. Rook takes g6. So he's just giving checks to gain a little bit of time. If he takes the knight on b5, rook... Oh, he offered a draw. The draw is agreed. And it is a draw by position. So it's not like it was a draw for out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a perpetual check. Wow, what a save by Nihal. And this is what can happen. The players discussing the game. Magnus feels that he missed the chance. But his problem was that the rook on g2 was kind of passive. And with 10 seconds on the reach, you always... You need your pieces to play together. And Nihal saved it.
Great defense from Nihal.